I don't believe bad test takers exist. I've been saying that for years. And almost every single time I say it, someone pushes back on it. Because almost every single time after someone fails their ILTS exam and comes to me after the second or the third attempt, it's some version of that same sentence. I'm just a bad test taker. They say it flat, like they're reporting the weather, like they are sharing a characteristic about themselves, something that settled in them a long time ago. Now, I want to take that sentence apart today because within the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact test question that led you to that belief. And I'm going to show you that you got it wrong for a reason, and that reason has nothing to do with how smart you are. Here's what I've noticed. When someone tells me that they are a bad test taker, it never has anything to do with this specific ILTS exam. They're talking about third grade, fourth grade, a bubble sheet, a Scantron sheet. Remember those? A time test, a clock, and that really tight feeling that showed up in their stomach. 20 years of evidence they have that has stacked up year after year. And they'll tell me, I can show you what I know. Put me in a classroom in front of students and I can deliver instruction like the best of them. I can show you, but just not like this, not on a test. And I believe them because every single word that they said is true. But notice what they did. They took this format doesn't show what I know, which is a real honest reflection about this particular test, and they turned it into something is wrong with me. Hmm. Those two are not the same sentence, and that second sentence is absolutely false. So, let me tell you what I see when I actually look at a failed score report. I don't see someone who doesn't know the material. I see someone who answered a question slightly different than the actual question that was on their test screen. And there's one or two words that'll usually trip you up. Let me show you. Testing center. You might be 40 questions in, and here's what's on the screen. You read A, remind him to slow down and check his work. And something in you goes, that is a good teacher move. I've done that several times. Actually, I did it yesterday. Click, next question. And you never felt it. And that is the part that I need you to hear. There was no alarm, there was no hesitation. You didn't struggle on that question. You were confident in your answer. Still, you got it wrong. And that is the exact moment where the story begins. Because when your score report comes back and you don't know what you missed or why you missed it, there's only one explanation for what's left. I'm just bad at this. I am a bad test taker. That's the story that you've been telling yourself over and over and over again. And that is simply not true. So here is what actually happened. Look at option A again. Remind him to slow down and check his work. That answer is not wrong. It's actually really good teaching. That's a really great and appropriate teacher move. You would tell a colleague to do that, and if it were on a teacher evaluation rubric, you would pass. It is the correct answer to a question that this test did not ask. Because this question does not ask which one is right, it asks which one is most appropriate. Most appropriate means more than one of these are right. Rank them. They built two good responses on purpose. That is it. That's the whole item. And if you read that question and you're hunting for an answer that's correct, you'll find one, probably two, or maybe all four are correct teacher moves. And you'll click the first one that you see thinking that this is a good response. This is something that I would actually do in a classroom. You'll never go looking for a better response because you actually already found one. You didn't get that answer wrong because you didn't know the contents. You got the answer wrong because you were answer hunting in a question that asks you to rank. That's not a character flaw. That is a rule that no one ever told you. So here's the move. Every time you see best and every time you see most appropriate, stop asking which one is right. Ask yourself which one is ideal. Ideal has a pattern. It shows up over and over again on this exam. Ideal teaches skill instead of giving a one-time fix. Ideal solves the root cause instead of managing the symptom. That's it. That's the whole tiebreaker. Now let's look at the two best answers side by side and watch this work. Look at option A. Remind him to slow down and check his work. That's a good option. Okay, but what happens tomorrow? What happens tomorrow? He rushes again. That is a one-time fix. Now let's take a look at option C. Conference with him, set a goal, and teach him a self-monitoring checklist. Now, what happens tomorrow? Well, maybe not tomorrow, but as you continue to practice, what happens? He starts to check his work because you taught him how. He can't monitor his own pace yet. And that's the actual problem. That is the root cause. And C is the only option that goes after the root cause. Same student, same question, different answer. A is acceptable, but C is ideal. Best always rewards ideal. B and D reduce his work, move his seat. Those aren't even in the conversation. They're accommodations for a problem that he does not have. So I want to go back to the story that you've been telling yourself, the one way back from third grade. I'm just a bad test taker. Look at what actually happened on the question that I just showed you. You knew the content, you recognized good teaching when you saw it. Your instinct about the second grader was correct. What you didn't have was a rule for the word best or the phrase most appropriate. That's it. That's the entire gap. You cannot be bad at something that someone never taught you. This week, we focus on accept, not, and least. Hit the subscribe button to be notified when the next video drops. I'll see you next week. Bye.